Have you been looking at the old Instagram or Facebook and you see all these rich people who are just so happy with their lives and it just makes you feel miserable because you're not rich? Well, you're in luck because today's episode, we're going to be talking about do you need to be a millionaire? This is the
Oh, I
existential
thought you were
Stoic
going to say because we're not either. No.
podcast. Yeah, this is the Existential Stoic podcast. I'm Randy. That's Danny. What's going on, Danny?
What's up, Randy?
Yeah, so this is an interesting topic because a lot of people think that you need money in order to live.
At all. Or no, I would actually say not just in order to live, because I would argue, to some extent you do if you're in society, but like that it's the only thing that matters for quality of life, whether you're having a good life, happiness. We kind of use it for everything,
Yeah,
you
like
know?
like happiness in life is a scale from 0 to $100 billion, and that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's really, I think, how a lot of people think because we're convinced that that's all that matters, right? And like, it makes it really hard though, because then you see, dude, like you said, you go on social media and you see like all these people with flashy clothes and cars and big houses. And how many things on like, I'm sure on YouTube and stuff, is it like touring this $80 million mansion type videos and crap like that, right? That just makes you feel you're like, I don't have 75 bedroom. What am I doing wrong? You know?
What would you even do with 75
Yeah.
bedrooms, right? Yeah.
Oh my God. Yeah. I
Well,
only
it's
have me.
it's an interesting thing because it's easy to show that you have wealth. Like I think back to you remember Ty Lopez, the first guy to advertise on YouTube. He was like the first one who did video ads online. He was the guy who
Oh, I
had
don't know him, but
he was
okay.
sitting in his garage and had a Lamborghini behind him and a bookshelf. And he's like, "Hi, this is my Lamborghini, but this isn't the most important thing. These are my books." And he just basically like sold his course about how he reads
Oh,
these
okay.
books and he would give the book summaries and everything to people. But he became a multi-millionaire, and I actually ended up meeting him one time at a conference.
Oh, really?
A lot shorter than you would give away on watching the YouTube videos.
Did he stand on a little box
Oh,
or
dude,
something?
he was wearing like decked out, like the most expensive clothes. He had a personal
Okay.
bodyguard or two, and but anyways, so like it's a lot easier to show that you're wealthy than to actually be wealthy because when he recorded those videos and when he did all of that stuff, he was broke. He
Did
rented a
he rent a Lamborghini?
Lamborghini for the
Yeah, yeah.
day to shoot the videos. Yeah, probably he bought the books, but that was it. Other than that, he was broke. And so, like, the thing is, a lot of people get trapped because they're spending all this time on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, everywhere, and they see all these rich people, and they're like, it's the illusion of a movie because when you're watching a movie, you get sucked in and you think that's reality for the moment, and
Yeah.
you see this
Yeah.
stuff there, and you're like, oh, everybody's rich, and I'm freaking broke working at Burger King. My life sucks. What's wrong with the world?
Yeah. And like we forget to, you're right though. I like that analogy of the illusion like a movie. Like we forget that it's like curated. Like, I mean, look at any of your friends or family that you know. You know more about what's actually going on in their life, but if you look at their social media, there'll be a big disconnect, right? Because most people aren't going to put the bad things that happen or pictures that don't come out well, or the Thanksgiving that fell apart. They're going to put up a picture that makes it look like Thanksgiving was awesome, right? And that the yard looks great or whatever. Like they're going to do things that make everything look grander than they are. And it's like, that curation makes us forget that the reality of the situation is very different at the same time.
Yeah, and plus it's like a much more tenuous situation than they want you to believe. Like I've been lucky enough to meet a bunch of people who have been social media influencers who are pretty wealthy, and then it's interesting because the number of them who are satisfied with their lives is so low, and the number of them who are on the verge of suicide, who like talk about how they're contemplating it, is so high that it's just like a complete disconnect from what you would think from watching their stuff online.
Well, we mentioned before, right? Will Smith, Jim Carrey had a famous talk on it where he did this, about how depressed they were once they got that wealth. I think
Mm-hmm.
I mentioned last week I was listening to a podcast on Moby, right? Where like he's doing well now, but he said like when he was at the height of his stuff, he was super depressed and wanted to kill himself, even though he had all the money, he was selling tons of records, and he's like, because you do the same thing. They do the same thing everybody else does. They compare themselves to others. There's always somebody with more, always somebody that seems to be doing better, has it easier, and it's that fulfillment's missing a lot of times because we think money's going to solve everything, and then we get it, and we're the same person, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Yeah, pretty much. And so, like another thing, So I mean, we were both severely in debt, and so like,
Severely. Yeah,
yeah,
that's a
yeah,
good word.
and from doing that, like I took a lot of time to read pretty much every book on personal finance. And I went through Dave Ramsey's Financial Peace University. And so like it teaches a whole bunch of skills and you learn a whole bunch of stuff about money that most people don't learn, uh, including like the importance of living on a budget or living within your means. Like Ben Franklin said it hundreds of years ago, where
Yeah.
if you make $99 and spend 100, you're going to be miserable. But if you make 100 and spend 99, you're going to be happy. And it's like
Yeah.
simple advice, but how many people live from
Do you know what's funny? Like, yeah, because I used to be terrible with money. And like when I started paying more attention, one, I stopped looking at crap so much online, like shopping just arbitrarily. Like, because I didn't realize it, but I mean, now looking back, I see like, when I was upset, I'd buy something or something, which a lot of people do, right? It's consumerism. It makes you feel good for the moment, but it's not something you really want. So you're not even happy with it. You're just getting it just to try and up your feeling for the moment because it's
it? Like
easy.
scratches the itch.
Yeah. But once you start taking care of it, and like once you actually have like savings like in your like where like if like even something stupid like if my tire blows on my car I can fix it, that feels really good because you don't have that pressure of like my credit cards are all running up, I have no money, if any little thing happens I'm screwed, like kind of pressure that you carry around, and that pressure causes you to go spend more money because you're depressed and da da da. It's like a vicious cycle that consumerism can be really dangerous, right? So
Mm-hmm.
like I think like what helped me a lot was just getting clear about like what do I really need. Like minimalism actually helped a lot. Realizing you don't need all this junk, and like just stop arbitrarily shopping for shit. Like stop looking at things online and coveting these things that you don't even really have an interest in or a need for.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. I think one of the biggest exercises that I did was living on a budget because this was something that was really interesting because the thought about, I mean, most people hear the budget and they cringe. They're just like, oh, I could never do that.
I
Oh
have to
gosh.
manage my money.
Yeah. And it's the craziest thing because that's what I felt too, is that like
Yeah,
I
yeah.
was like, I can't do that. That's just I need my freedom with my money. And so, but I did it anyways because I was like, heck, what I'm doing hasn't been working. I'm hundreds
Nope.
of thousands of dollars in debt. This clearly hasn't been working. So let me try something different. So I tried it, and the coolest thing about it was that even though the amount of money I was making didn't change and the amount of money that I was spending didn't change dramatically, all of a sudden I had this freedom that I thought I would need to be a multimillionaire to have.
Your relationship changes with it too, which is really important as well. Like I noticed because I did that for a while too. Because I remember a long while ago, it was years ago, you were writing down everything you purchased.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, that's a good idea because it just makes you more aware. And like I noticed as soon as I started doing it, I bought less because I was like, well, like you're just more aware of what you're doing. Because like before, it's like impulsive. I mean, they make it impulsive intentionally, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
Amazon has one click.
Yep.
Like, don't think about it. Just click this button, bam, your credit card's charged, you're good.
Yep.
It's like, but it forces you to think about it a little bit more and process it before you just impulsively do it, which is
Mm-hmm.
super helpful.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because it's a pain in the butt to write stuff down. Even though it takes, 10 seconds to write it down, it was a pain in the butt every time. Like I used to love going to Starbucks. Like that was my treat for myself. I just really liked the way their black coffee tasted. And that would be like, when I get done a long day, it was kind of my treat to myself. But every time, like I had to write down $1.98 or
Yeah.
whatever it was for the coffee. And I was like, I hate doing this. Like,
Yeah.
so I was like, maybe I don't want a coffee today. I don't know.
It's also really helpful too because it just makes you more aware of where your money's going. Because I think most of us really aren't. Like I don't know how you felt, but like I'll look at everything. Like I remember when I got out of college and realized how much in debt I was. I At first I felt really like it was so unfair because like you make these decisions when you're 17 or whatever. Everybody's telling you it's the right thing to do. You have no idea. You have no idea about finances because nobody teaches you any of this. And you get into this situation where you're egregiously in debt and really don't know how to handle it. And so not only does it feel overwhelming, it feels very like you feel like a victim almost, right? And like that thinking is really bad though, because then that leads to just not dealing with it and more problems, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's like as soon as you start dealing with it and realize you can handle it, it's like way better. You just take care of it,
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so I guess we haven't really answered the question we set out to answer. Do you
No,
need to
we
be a
did not
millionaire?
at all.
Do you need to be
Yeah,
a millionaire? And I would say, depending upon how steep inflation does end up getting, this episode
you
may
might.
not age well because it could turn out where like $1 million will buy you Starbucks coffee. But
Well, yeah, right.
yeah,
The I mean, I think I would say is like we all know, like we live in society, right? Money's important. And I think I know, at least for myself, I'll say the biggest mistake I made when I was younger was because money was my major concern because I didn't have enough. I was in debt, egregiously in debt. I wasn't good with money. I thought it would fix everything. I thought if I have money, that'll fix everything because that seems to be where all my problems are. But the reality is, my problems were other problems. They were manifesting as overspending, being terrible with money, not, hiding from dealing with like the bills and stuff and all that crap because I had other problems. So I think like one thing to keep in mind is like, yes, money can be helpful, can get you out of these situations. It's good to have money because gives you that freedom. You can deal with things in your life, self-worth, whatever. But how much you need is really depends on a lot of factors. And taking care of yourself first deals with a lot of those problems that are probably associated with your overspending, like taking control of your finances, budgeting, dealing with problems, looking at your mental health. All of that actually can pay off a lot more than anything else.
yeah, I like how you mentioned taking a look at it because money, you know, e- every blessing has a burden. And I think Biggie Smalls said "Mo money, mo problems" or whatever that is. But like
Something like
people
that. Yeah.
people don't look at that part of the equation. They're just like, my life, I have problems that I can attribute to money right now. So money is going to solve everything. But they don't see the things that come along with money. So like they don't see the things like relatives asking for money and it kind of poisoning relationships. They don't see the things like people suing you for anything because they're trying to take you get a free ride. They don't
Yeah.
see all the stuff. Once you start buying
Hangers
expensive things with
ons.
your hangers on, you
Yeah.
have your
Yeah.
posse. If you start buying expensive stuff, you have to pay to maintain it, to staff it, to do all this different stuff. They don't see the accounting fees for having all these different. So like, there's a whole bunch of things. They don't see like the fear of someone robbing you or kidnapping you or all these
Yeah.
different things that are just, oh well, that I mean, if I had money, I wouldn't care about that because I have money. But it's like it's going to happen if you get the money. So you got to prepare for it. Like, are you a good steward with money now so that when you have more of it, you can be a better steward?
Yeah. If you have a minute, I would recommend every look up online at how many people have won the lottery, like large amounts, are now bankrupt. And you will be shocked. I mean, I'm talking about not just like 10 grand, like 10 million, 30 million, 100 million, because they get this windfall, which is great. Yeah, it's great. But they don't know how to handle it. They don't have any idea of how to actually deal with this amount of money all at once. They
Mm-hmm.
make poor decisions. They get in debt quickly. They give out way too much. Everybody they know starts asking for money because they didn't earn it. So they don't feel like there's just all these problems. And it's like, you can't, yeah, it might be nice to win a bunch of money, but like you also have to know how to handle it, or it can be a super curse. Like, I mean, I saw a bunch of stories about that where people are way worse off now after winning than they were before they won.
And professional athletes and one hit wonder musicians, like because
Hmm.
they think the money is going to keep on coming forever and they have all these bad habits around money. Like they'll fly everywhere in first class paying $10,000 for a ticket where somebody else is paying $200. And like
Yeah.
granted, you can do that for a while you're making money, but then money's gone.
Yeah. I mean, it's funny. It's like wasn't there a football player whose mother like sued him because she raised him and she wanted some of his money? I swear to God,
I'm
I think that was
sure.
a real story. I remember hearing about that. But like, yeah, stuff like that. Like people get jealous quick and like feel like they, for whatever reason, think they deserve it too. I don't
Yeah.
know.
Well, I mean, I heard there was a case where some old woman spilled coffee on herself and won $1 million
Mhm.
because it was hot, which is coffee is supposed to be,
10,
and she spilled it on
10.
herself. And
And that
yeah,
was a long
10
time
million.
ago. That
I
10
know
million was probably worth like
it's
80.
ridiculous. It's really America is
Yep.
ridiculous when it comes to lawsuits and kind of ridiculous. There's no responsibility, personal responsibility around money. But anyways, so Daniel,
Long
let me
story
ask
short,
you.
do you need?
That's what I was going to ask you.
Yeah,
Did
yeah.
do you need to be a millionaire?
I'm gonna say, look, no, I don't think so. Well, I mean, it depends. Like, do you need $1 million in the bank? No. I think what you need though is like you need to get clear about what really matters to you so you can have a quality life. And you need to know what you actually want in life. We've said this before, but like people always covet like Bill Gates because of his money, Jeff Bezos, Zuck, whatever. I wouldn't want to be any of them. That life is not appealing to me at all, and I know that with clarity. So that's not something I'm chasing because I just know that's not what I would want. Like, yeah, there's things about it that look great, sure, but like most of it is not for me. So knowing that, what do I really want? Do I really want like what's my ideal life? Is it a house in the mountains? Well, then I don't need $1 million. I don't need to be earning millions of dollars every year. If it's like, a gigantic mansion that I can never see all the rooms in, well, then maybe I need to, be a billionaire. I don't know. But like getting clear about what you actually want and then taking care of yourself. Because if you feel good, the money doesn't matter. That's only one aspect of life. You're a whole person. You can
Yeah.
have a lot of value in other things. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I'm really glad you said that because you mentioned like being very clear about it. Because a lot of people just think of this number. They're just like, oh, if I just had $1 million or $10 million or whatever it is. And it's like, fine. Well, okay, dream wish, you have that money. What are you going to do with it now? And
Yeah.
how long is that going to last you? And
A
then
million, not
so
long.
yeah,
Like,
I mean,
literally, not long at all.
but it could. Like
Yeah,
if you
it
know what
could.
you're doing, it could last you your entire life. And so, but the thing is, once you figure out what you would do with that money, start doing that now. Like if you want to be a millionaire, start acting like a millionaire right now. Read The Millionaire Next Door, and you'll find out that most millionaires drive a Toyota Camry. They dress very plain. They live in a house of people who are working class, like a neighborhood of people who are working class, and they don't go to name brand universities. They go to like state colleges. So like,
Yeah,
and then you'll be like, what? No way! But all the people on Instagram, and yeah. So
yeah.
anyway, my answer is no. You
That's a
don't need to be a millionaire. And
that's
actually,
a
like,
good point though.
hmm,
Because I think like they're not flashy, right? Because they also have a good relationship with money. They realize what they need and what matters. Like, because I think just going back to the lottery example, like one of the major problems most people make is they'll win, say, like, say 10 million, right? Well, like five of that's gone in taxes. And they don't even realize that. So say you got like 5 million left. Then they think, well, I have all this money. So they start just buying all this crap that they've been coveting for a while. But guess what? All those things aren't going to just make your life better. And you're not even going to use all of them. Like, so really think about that. I think like, how much do you even need? Do you need the newest thing every time it comes out? Is it really necessary? Like asking yourself these real questions can help you get there. And yeah, I would say no, you don't.
yeah,
I
and
agree.
also recognizing. So like we are like touched in America, supremely lucky when it comes to stuff where if you make over $13,000 a year, you're in the top 1% of the wealthiest individuals in the world. In
Wow, that's
America, you're pretty
insane.
much broke, but in the
Yeah.
world, you're in the top 1%.
You
If
know,
you,
when
yeah,
oh, go ahead. No, I was gonna say when I used to teach when I teach social ethics, I usually talk about world hunger and poverty. And a really interesting statistic is like I don't remember the exact numbers, but it's something like half the population, like roughly about like 3-4 billion, live on less than like $2 a day.
mm-hmm,
Think about that. If you live in America, you do anything, you're spending more than $2
yeah,
instantly.
mm-hmm,
Like walking out of your house probably costs $2.
yeah. I know. Soon they're going to
Like,
start charging for breathing air. You're like, that's
I
$2
know.
there today.
Yeah,
If
it's
you want to pay
crazy.
less, stop breathing so much.
Hold
Yeah,
your breath more.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, but so just recognizing how lucky you are, and then I personally don't think you need $1 million. I think the number is way less than that. And actually, like, here's the thing. So, like, I've had some times in my life where I had earned enough money to where I didn't have to work. And it seems cool because you're like, sweet, I'm just going to sit back on the beach, sip my pina coladas, and life is going to be awesome. And it is
Woo.
for a week, two
Yeah,
weeks,
because it's a
maybe.
vacation
Yeah.
and you were probably
And then,
overworked before.
yeah. And then you're supremely bored. And this is what happens to everybody who like exits on their business. They sell, they make millions of dollars, and they're like, I never have to work again. They're bored working on something else immediately afterwards. Like it's part of the human condition where we have to work on stuff to find meaning in our lives. And so,
Which
like,
is fine. But like, yeah, you're right. Like, that's not a bad thing, but realizing that can be very helpful because, like, you see that, like, you get hobbies, figure out what you actually like, and like, ask yourself, if I had this money, what would I actually do? What would I really honestly do? And then just like you said, do it now. Start working on doing it now, and then you'll get there.
yeah,
Yeah.
bingo. So there you have it. Don't need to be a millionaire. Just
Yeah.
live the life you want to live anyways, because you
And
can
take
do
care
that
of
now.
yourself. Yeah.
Yeah. So
There you go.
there you go. We answered the question once and for all. Now nobody has to worry about that anymore. I'm pretty sure Instagram's going out of business now because people now know you don't need to be a millionaire, and it
Yeah.
doesn't. Yeah, and posturing doesn't do anything. Yeah.
Nope.
So if you enjoyed that episode, give us a like, particularly on Apple Podcasts. This is the Existential Stoic podcast. I'm Randy. That's Danny. I'll see you later, Danny.
Later, Eddie.